So hello, I'm Michael Tressler, and welcome to our Teams Android devices and conditional access and Intune demonstration with Mario DeRitter. Mario, hi. How are you doing?
So hi Michael. Thanks for having me today. My name is Mario De Ridder, and I'm a solutions architect within the Microsoft 365 Center of Excellence. And my focus is on endpoint management.
So you know your Intune and conditional access pretty well.
Yes, I do actually.
Good, because I don't. I've dabbled around. I've set a few settings, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So I thought I'd bring you in to help me set up my demo tenant, so that we can kind of control what accounts on Android devices are allowed to do. So we're going to focus today on Teams rooms on Android, but I think everything we're doing more or less applies to everything else. But we're going to focus on Teams rooms on Android today. But maybe if I'm lucky, I can get you back and we can do some things for other devices later.
Okay.
So let me
Sounds
share
good.
my screen, and you should see it now. So here are my users inside just 365 Admin Center, and I go down here. I've got this guy. This is who I'm gonna focus on, because that's who's signed in onto my Android device. So here it is, Android device. It's working. TownView Huddle 1. He's up and running. He's happy. So let's see if we can keep it that way.
Okay.
So if I drill in here, do I need to worry about any licenses? What's the licensing story with conditional access and Intune?
Yes, so before you can start doing anything in Microsoft Endpoint Manager or Intune, of course, you need to license your users. And so I'm seeing here that you already have a Microsoft Teams Room Standard license. So that one already includes Intune. But on top
Excellent.
of this, we will also need an Azure Active Directory Premium one, because we are going to enable conditional access for our users and devices.
So
Okay.
conditional access is in addition. Then we need that.
Yes.
Sorry, Azure AD P1. If we're going to use conditional access, we have to use Azure AD P1. So what is conditional access? Why do I even need this?
Yeah, so conditional access actually allows you to limit the devices to have access to your resources on premises and in the cloud. So actually, it's based on the conditions of a device or a user. You can determine whether the user will have access to your resources. So these conditions are based on compliance policies, can be based on location, and can also be based on the device or user state.
Okay.
So that's basically it.
So it kind of limits who can sign in beyond a username and password.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. All right. So now, if let's just say for fun, this was a different licensing situation. I'll keep the calling plan because that just deals with phone numbers. If I were like E3 or an E5 end user, if I'm let's just say E3, do I need any additional licenses, or am I good to go if
No.
I just stay at E3?
Yeah, so our recommendation is to use Microsoft 365 E3 or E5 because that license already includes Intune and Azure Active Directory P1 for the E3 version. And for the E5 version, it also includes the P2 version of Azure Active Directory.
Okay, and that seems advanced. So let's not get there. Let's keep that's beyond my knowledge. I'm going to put it back because and Microsoft recommends using Teams Rooms Standard or Teams Rooms Premium.
Yeah, that's fine.
For Teams Rooms, and we're setting up Teams Rooms, so I will just add now this license that I have and save changes. Okay, so I think by the time we need this, it'll replicate and we'll be good to go. What do we do now? Oh, let me show you here. I got this little picture here. What I want to do. I don't know if it's too much, but I want to create a dynamic group, which I think I understand what that is. So as people follow my naming convention for my Teams rooms, which I can bring back up. You can see here all my Teams rooms start with MTR dash, MTR dash, MTR dash, MTR dash. Different ones for Surface Hub and Common Area Phone. But so I'm focusing on Teams rooms today. So I want to create a dynamic group. So anybody whose name starts with MTR dash, I want to put in a group. I want to assign this stuff to them. All right.
Okay.
Now, and then help me understand like some of this stuff. I think these are the only apps Teams and Teams Rooms need. So I just want to make sure that I can only run these.
Okay.
I'm only focused today on Teams Rooms on Android, not Teams Rooms on Windows. So when the user account signs in, I want to apply some stuff to my Android Teams rooms only from my condominium. So my entire enterprise happens from this desk in this room. So I only want it to come from here. And then if all this stuff is true, I guess give me access and mark it as compliant. And then this is what I want. I want to make sure that no rooted Android devices are allowed. So I don't want any rooting because then you can, malware and junk. Minimally OS when Android 5.0. We can probably do a later one, but I think there's some old Teams devices that go back to Android 5. If it's non-compliant, immediately mark it as non-compliant, so no grace period. Yeah, assign it to my shared devices, my whatever group, and I do want to limit it on the Intune side to just my Android Teams rooms Android devices. So this account cannot sign in on a Teams phone or even a Windows PC. So yeah, I want to specifically signing in to a conference room system, not to a phone or a display. Does this all make sense? Can we do all this?
Yes, we can. So so basically what we see here is actually the overview of your conditional access policy. But before we get there are a few things that we have to configure. So one requirement will be that we have to enroll the device in Intune. And once the device is enrolled, it will get the compliance policy that we will assign to those devices. And then once the compliance policy is assigned, the device is being validated for compliancy, and then we can create the conditional access policy, which will then verify whether the device can access the resources. So the cloud apps that you see here in this slide, if it can access them or not. So in this specific scenario, so we grant access to all the Teams room devices from the trusted location, which will be your home. But that also means that we want to block devices which are not in that trusted location. So basically, to achieve this, we will need two conditional access policies, one to grant access from the trusted location, and then one to block access from all the other locations. Make sense?
Okay. All right. Kind of. We'll talk about it when we get there.
Okay, no worries.
The other thing is, you said this is for Intune. So I've got like my common area phone accounts here. These don't have Intune licenses. So I know we're talking Teams rooms, but just as we're setting this up, I would have to buy an Intune license for my common area phones. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Because this common area phone license doesn't include Intune.
No, so on top of that, you will need one of the licenses that include Intune.
Okay.
So it can be a Microsoft 365 E3 license, or you can also buy a separate license for Intune as well.
Yeah, which
It's
I
not
don't
here in
think
the
I
list.
have. But yeah, I don't think I have that. But and then I'd also have to do like premium P1 for the conditional access as well for my common
exactly.
area phones. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. This is our playlist here.
Okay, let's start from
What do we
scratch.
do?
So first thing that we want to do is go to the Intune console or the MEM console. So to do that, you go to endpoint.microsoft.com.
Oh, hey. While we're here, I've read things. There's this device enrollment manager accounts or whatever. Do I need to create any of these when it's my Teams room signing in, or what is this DEM thing that I read about that confuses me?
Yeah, so in certain scenarios, you might need a device enrollment manager account. So normally an account in Intune can only enroll up to 5 devices. So if you're an IT admin and you're planning to enroll more than 5 devices in your environment, you will need, so with the same account, you will need a device enrollment manager account, which can enroll up to 1,000 devices per user. So if you need more than 1,000, of course, you will need more device enrollment managers accounts, and this can go up to 150 accounts within your organization. So for this specific scenario today, so we are going to enroll the Teams room devices with a specific account for each device. So in that case, we won't need a device enrollment manager account.
So we don't need device enrollment manager for what we're doing.
No.
Okay. Share again. So how do I get to Intune?
Yeah, so you open a new browser session and you navigate to endpoint.microsoft.com.
All right.
and that brings you to the Intune console.
Doesn't say Intune anywhere.
No, it's Microsoft Endpoint Manager. So Microsoft Endpoint Manager is actually, it's Intune, it's configuration manager, it's Defender for endpoint. So it includes different solutions that we have into one big suite, which we call
All right.
Microsoft Endpoint Manager to manage your endpoints in your organization.
Well, actually, wait on it. It does say Intune somewhere. There.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
see
it does.
Intune. Oh, and down here. What's happening in Intune? Okay, so I believe we're there. I trust you.
Yeah, we're there. So yeah, so this is I still call it the Intune console. So from here, it's your single pane of glass to manage everything related to endpoints. And so let's go to the devices view first. Yes, so before we start
Okay.
configuring anything, there is one feature that we have to enable, and it's called the device administrator enrollment. Because
Okay.
device administrator has been deprecated by Google for all the devices, Android devices. Because yeah, there is an alternative which is called Android Enterprise. So we really
Okay.
recommend use Android Enterprise for all your Android devices. But device administrator is still there for legacy Android devices and also for Teams Room devices in this case. So to be able to enable that, we have to go to the enroll devices view.
Okay.
And there you go to the last one in the list. To Android enrollment. Sorry, I'm a bit too fast.
Okay.
Yeah, and here the last one in this list is Android device administrator, as you can see. You click that one, and
So
so we
I
have
think I
it
already
already.
checked this.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
already enabled it in our tenant. But if you
Okay.
start using a new tenant, you will see that this is disabled by default. So you will have to enable it.
Okay. Yeah, this is again me messing around, not knowing what I'm doing. So I got this part right.
Yeah,
All right.
that's fine. Okay, so now that we have this in place, we can continue. So let's maybe start with creating a dynamic group with our Teams Room devices based on
Okay.
the device name. So for that, we go to the groups view.
So wait, what?
So,
I'm doing this in Intune. Why am I not doing this in Android Azure Active Directory portal? The Azure
yeah,
Active Directory portal. Why am I not? What's this?
yeah. So you're totally right. So what you see here, the groups and users can also be configured from the Azure portal. Um, but to make things easier for our customers, so we have it all in one place. So anything that you configure here is also automatically configured in Azure AD. So if you would open the Azure
Ah,
AD port, you would see the exact same groups, the exact same configuration.
so I'm not creating different groups. This is
No,
just a view into Azure AD because it says right here Azure Active
ex-
Directory.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Okay. So new group, right?
Yeah. So now you click on new group.
Okay.
So you give it a very useful name. So here you select security group. We don't
Okay.
need the
Because
Microsoft
this is for
365
Teams,
group.
more or less, right?
Yes, exactly. And
All
for
right.
Office.
My Teams rooms accounts. Enter the group description. All Teams rooms accounts dynamic group. All right.
Yeah.
Azure AD roles can be assigned to the group. I have no idea what that means, but I don't think so.
No, just
So
leave it off. We don't need that for now. And instead of an assigned group, we will make it a dynamic user group because we are
okay.
checking the username.
Owners
And now,
selected. Who's the owner of this? Me, because I'm signed in.
yeah,
I guess I can. Oh, I can make somebody else the owner.
yeah.
I
So
don't want
this
them. I
field
want me.
is optional. So you can assign an owner if you like.
Okay.
So the
I
most
don't.
important thing
I'm in
here is
charge of
the
everything. Nobody.
yeah,
I'm a tyrant.
you're a
Everything's
global
mine.
admin, so you have access everywhere.
Okay. So I
So,
clicked on dynamic rules and I got to
yeah,
this thing.
so let's define the rules. So we are going to look at the user principal name. So let's select that one from this list.
There we go. All right.
And so we will select everything starting with the MTR. So starts with, then
MTR dash.
dash.
And then
Okay.
I guess add.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And now we have to save this rule. And now we have to create a group. So click
All the way
create.
down here. Okay. So now we've got
Okay.
Teams rooms accounts.
So now let's have a look to the members of this group.
No members, it's broken.
Yeah, it takes
What
a
did we do
couple of
wrong?
minutes to populate. So if you hit the
Wait.
refresh button,
Or just wait, go get a coffee and come back.
Yeah, or you come back in a few minutes.
All right.
So while we wait for that, maybe we can start configuring our compliance policy and then come back to the dynamic group.
All right, let's try it one more time just because I'm not patient.
Yep.
Members. Oh, no members yet. Okay. So what do we do? Okay, so you said create our compliance policy, and our compliance policy is this stuff over here, the rooted
Exactly.
devices and block minimum OS and stuff. That's our compliant policy.
That's the one.
Okay.
So to do that, so we have to go back to the devices view again.
Devices, back in endpoint manager.
And then in this list, you scroll down to compliance policies.
Looks like right here.
Yeah. And so here we are going to create a new policy. So for the platform, we select Android Device Administrator.
All right. And looks like that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's give it a name.
And this is going to be our Teams Rooms Android compliance policy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then let's go to the next page.
Okay, next page.
So here you see a few groups that we can configure. So let's go. So Defender for endpoints, it's not relevant for Teams Room devices. Device health. Here we can block rooted devices. That's the one
here we go.
We had in the slide.
That's a good one.
Okay. And the other one that we had was operating system version. So for that, you go to device properties, and there you set the minimum OS version.
No. Okay.
Okay. And that's fine. And for system security, let's just open it to show our viewers. So here you have some more settings on device encryption, blocking USB, and so on. But nothing relevant for what we are trying to achieve here with this.
And a lot of this doesn't apply to Teams rooms, like maximum minutes of inactivity. We don't want this thing whatever turning off if the machine's not been used for a minute, then your meeting's going to go away or whatever that actually does. Just seems like a thing I don't want to set on a device that just shows meetings and you don't touch a lot of buttons on. Okay.
So let's go to the next page.
All right.
We are in the locations. So for this specific policy, we don't need that, but you could set some locations as well. And then the device can be considered compliant or not compliant.
So why are we doing? So isn't this what I want? Don't I want a location thing when I look at my picture here? I've got trusted locations.
So it's two possibilities to configure this. So you can create the trusted location in the compliance policy. Then the device will be marked non-compliant if it's not in the trusted location. So that's one way to do it. Okay. Another way to do it is what we are going to show now, is to configure the trusted locations in the conditional access policy, which allows you to use the trusted location also for other policies as well. So if you are only going to use it for this specific compliance policy, you do it in a compliance policy. If you're planning to use the trusted locations for different kind of conditional access policies, then we recommend to do it in Azure AD and set a trusted location there.
This to me sounds like experience says use conditional access.
Yes, that's what I would recommend.
And use this only for a targeted use. Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm not going to question you on that one.
Let's skip this for now. So
Mark
here
device non-compliant immediately.
Yeah. So when is a device considered not compliant? So we decided to do this immediately for this example. Mm-hmm. But you could also include some grace period, some hours or days that the device has a chance to, or the user can make the device compliant again.
Okay, yeah. Well, we want to mark it immediate. You either get in or you don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here, to whom are we going to assign the policy? So we are going to take the dynamic group that we just created.
Our Teams Rooms accounts.
Let's hope we have some members in
that. Hopefully, we have
some
people in there.
Yeah, let's check afterwards.
All right.
And then you have the
group
selected.
Filter or anything?
Yeah. So on top of this, you can also create a device filter, but we don't have any filter yet. So let's see if we can create it from here.
I don't think so.
No, so
No.
let's do that afterwards and then add
Okay.
the device filter. So on top of what we already did, you could include the device filter based on the device model or the device name.
Right, which is what I want, because I want to make sure it's one of our known Teams rooms Android devices. So we'll have to come back.
So let's go next. And here you can verify if everything is all right, and then you can just create the policy.
Okay. Looks like we have a policy now.
Yes.
I'm going to look at my group real quick, see if we have people yet. Teams rooms accounts. Members. Oh, it says right here 6 users.
6 users. Yeah, so that looks fine.
Members, and all of these are MTR dash. Perfect. Perfect. It worked.
All right. Yep. Nice going. So let's go to tenant administration now. So device filtering is a preview feature. So that means that it's still being worked on by our product team. So let's create a device filter.
Okay, and I think I remember I had to enable this. There was like you click here to enable the feature. So.
Yes, actually click on that link. So the device filter preview feature.
Oh,
there you can see whether it's enabled or not. So by default, it's not enabled. So if you want to start playing with this feature, you have to enable it.
Okay.
And then you can start using it. So next thing, we create our first device filter.
Filter name, Teams, rooms, Android devices.
Yeah.
Actually, not on our supported. Because in my fake little company here, I've got 2 different Teams rooms. So I'm just going to go on those are the ones I support right now. I'm getting some new ones soon, so I'll have to update the list when I get that. But for now, I've got 2. All right.
So here we have to select the platform. So device administrator again. Yeah.
Okay. Next. Okay. So
here we have to configure our rule. So
model.
Let's do it based on device model. And here you can actually create a list. So we select the in operator.
Oh, in?
Yeah.
So in is a list versus equals is a specific one. So if I did equals,
is only one value. And
I'd have to keep adding expressions, right?
Yes, correct.
So then I would do like or
so
this,
for each
or
model,
this, or
you
this.
could say equals, and then it's
okay.
an and.
But that could get tedious if I have like 20 different models. So I'm gonna do it this way. So now I have to do this format, right?
Look at the syntax there. So it's exactly showing what we should put there.
Yeah, link A20. And I'll show in a second where I got these from.
Okay.
But I did do. It may not look like it, but I did do a little research ahead of time, so I'd have these. So where I got these values from, which I think is that a double quote or a single quote? Double quote.
Yeah.
I think that looks right. Let me add expression.
Expression. Yeah.
So meeting bar. So where I got these from, so Mario, is I go to admin.teams.microsoft.com. I went into my Teams admin center. I went over here to devices, my collaboration bars. So that's Teams rooms on Android, our collaboration bars. And then I picked on one of these once it shows up in the list. And then details, and then here, meeting bar A20. That's where I got that from. And then I've got the Poly Studio X30 as well. So when I click on that one, go to details, Poly Studio X30, which I think I typed.
Okay.
Sure. Yep, Poly Studio X30 meeting bar A20. Okay. So so then when I get I'm getting a Logitech Rally bar. I'll then eventually put in like when that comes, I have to go comma plus Rally bar.
Just update this list.
I'll have to find the name. But all right, so I've got a list.
That's fine. So you can remove the second expression that you have there, so it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Okay. And then we go next. And here you just create a filter.
All right.
Okay, so now that we have this filter, we need to add it to the compliance policy. So let's go back to devices. And then compliance policies.
And then edit this guy?
Yes. Here we go to properties. And then we have to go to the filters and
It's a new feature here. Oh, filter mode previewed way over here on the right. So it's this.
Yeah. So it's that one.
Assignments?
So here in the assignment.
Filter mode preview, edit filter.
Edit filter.
Include
Filter
filter
devices in assignment.
Gee,
Yes.
what's it called? Teams. Oh,
Yeah.
it
so
did
actually,
bring it
it's the
up. Oh,
first one
it's
in the
down here.
list.
It's right actually.
Yeah.
Did that happen when I typed in Teams? Hold on. Cancel.
Actually, when you clicked on include filter devices, it's already
Did it pop
appeared
up?
because we only have one.
Oh yeah, it's already in there anyway.
Yeah.
Include it just because it's grayed out and then it's not grayed out.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the filter I want. That's our
the
guy.
filter. So we select.
I like that
one.
it shows the little device, the whole little command prompt.
Query as well.
The query. There you go. That's the word.
Yeah.
All right.
So now we can just save this change that we made.
Filter mode include. Okay.
Yeah.
As opposed to exclude. So we could exclude a specific device or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with that, we make sure that this policy doesn't become active on any other Android device. So now that we have the compliance policy, we could actually start creating the conditional access policy. Let's maybe first have another look. Yeah.
The compliance policy. So we blocked rooted devices. Minimum was 5.0. Immediately non-compliant. That's to our Teams Rooms devices group, Teams Android device models. In this case, my two Teams Rooms devices.
Yeah.
I think we got it.
So now another requirement that we have before we can start creating the conditional access policy is to determine what is what are the trusted locations. So we will have to set an IP range for the trusted location. So for that, we have to go.
Now this is a public IP because here inside I have the unique IP range of 192.168.1, which like nobody uses. So I think it's super unique to me. So I can use that. My 192.168.1.
Yeah, that's a very important thing. So Azure Active Directory doesn't look at your private IP addresses, so it only checks the public IP addresses. So you will have to find out in which public IP address range your IP addresses are. So to do that, you check your current IP.
I like to use IP
on your favorite website.
Yep, IP Chicken's my favorite.
Yeah,
and it gives me this. Mostly because there aren't a lot of advertisements, and there's advertisements for Microsoft 365. So this has to be the way to go. Is IP Chicken?
Yeah. With that one, we can
targeted ads on IP Chicken are on point.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my IP address. Okay, copy. Got it. Now what?
Yeah, so we will use that IP address to create an public IP range. So let's go back to the Intune console. And now if you go back to devices.
Now, aren't we doing, okay, the devices, okay, I'll be quiet.
Yeah, and then you go to conditional access. Actually, you could go to the Azure portal, portal.azure.com. But as I said, to make everything easy, we have everything in one console here in Intune. So you can just go to conditional access.
By the way, see all these enrollment failures? That's me playing around on my own. It's all a bunch of failure.
Okay.
That's me show proof. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, why can't I get this to work? I got to get a pro in. So conditional access, you said. Okay.
Yes. So there you see the named locations in the list of features that we have in conditional access. Yeah.
Okay.
And let's create an IP range location.
And name this location. So I live in a place called Townview in St. Petersburg, Florida. All right. This is a trusted location.
Yes.
And there's a random plus. Do I hit the random plus? Like no definition, just a plus sign hanging out.
Oh. That's the hidden feature.
Okay, so looks like they got some subnet ranges. I'm just going to do a single IP because I only have one public NATed IP. So /32 for this specific IP address.
So just edit now and now create.
Okay, great. Okay.
So as we said before, so you could use this trusted location in your compliance policy, but then it's only valid for that compliance policy. So the way that we are doing it now with this named location in Azure AD is that we can reuse that named location anywhere where we would like.
So when I set it up eventually for my common area phones or my Teams Rooms windows or whatever, I'll be able to reuse this.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's create the conditional access policy based on the trusted location and the compliance state of your devices.
We go to policies.
And here we create a new policy.
Name, and this is Teams Rooms.
Yes.
Now what? Users and groups?
Yeah. So we specify the group of users to which this policy will be applied. So here you select user and groups, and then we select our dynamic group,
which we call teams rooms accounts. All right.
Okay. So the next one is for which cloud applications.
And this is where we're talking about here as I bring up my slide again.
Yes.
These three: Exchange Online, Teams, and SharePoint, right? Exchange, Teams, and SharePoint.
So select apps.
Exchange Online, Teams,
Yeah.
and SharePoint. Okay.
Okay, so that's it. And then the next one are the conditions.
Okay.
Now, this is not the conditional access. So this is actually conditions to determine to whom this policy will be applied. So you see that we can do it based on user risk or sign-in risk on specific device platforms. So for device platforms, we can select Android, of course.
Windows Phone, good. Good to see we still support all of our top operating systems.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't want this just on Android.
Okay. And
so
then,
right now, any Android device goes into here.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So another one that we want to add here is the location. So here we will take the trusted location. So you can either use all trusted locations if you have multiple trusted locations, if you only have one, or if you want to determine specific trusted location, you just select the one that we.
Yeah, I want specifically because I don't want anybody at my other.
Maybe another.
I don't at my other in my global enterprise that spans multiple planets. I only want this one coming from this planet and then this office.
If a colleague creates another trusted location with another policy, you want to exclude it from this one. Okay. So, and then the other one, client apps, it's not relevant here. So here you can specify the type of applications that can access or cannot.
I don't want any. I don't know. This stuff.
We don't need that for now. Okay. So now we go to the access controls. So this is the grant policy that we are creating to allow access based on a few conditions. And so the conditions that we want here is the compliance state of the device. So require the device to be marked as compliant. And now you can just click select. And then we create the policy. But before we create it, we have to turn it on. So if you leave it to report only, you will be able to assess the impact of the policy. So it will show you how many users will be impacted by this policy.
So this is a good thing. This is a good thing to do if you're already in production and now you're adding this stuff in. If you mess something up, you could wipe out all of your team's rooms in our scenario. This one, you can make sure there aren't any errors before you then. But I'm hardcore. I'm a tyrant. If my rooms are down, my rooms are down. Sorry about your luck. I decided I'm turning it on.
Okay, so this is the conditional access policy. So what happens now is any device within your trusted location that tries to access any of the three applications that we selected will be granted access when the device is compliant. So that means not rooted and compliant with the operating system version that we have set. So as I said before, we will need a second conditional access policy to actually block any other device or Android device that's connecting from a location which is not trusted. So for that, we create a new policy. So maybe we call it
we do this
untrusted locations or block. Yeah. Okay.
And this is
so again for the same group. Potentially, you could leave it to all users. So if you think other users that are not in this group could start configuring Teams room devices from untrusted locations, then you leave it to all users. So it's up to you, Michael. So you have the choice. We can set all users or just the dynamic group that we just created.
So all users will, I'll talk about it when we get done. I'm still figuring this out.
So all users, it's just to avoid that any user that has an Intune license starts enrolling or connecting Teams room devices to any of these applications from their own home or from any untrusted
Okay.
location. So next one, the cloud apps. So here we can just leave all cloud apps. So we don't want anybody to connect from an untrusted location to any of our cloud services. And then for the conditions, normally we don't need to set anything here for this environment. But for example, if you are using Intune to manage mobile devices, iPhones or other Android devices, you will have to think this through to make sure that you don't block anyone connecting to, let's say, SharePoint from his personal phone or anything like that.
So for our example, we're leaving it blank?
Yeah, we can leave it blank because we don't have any phones or tablets enrolled in this Intune environment.
I do. I actually do. I have, well,
Oh, you do?
I don't know if they're enrolled, but I do have a mobile device that I sign in
Okay.
onto this environment.
Okay, and then which platform is it?
Android.
Android. Okay, so
Yeah.
then
The device platform, but I pick, we're blocking, so pick everything that's not Android.
So here, so we are saying that this policy will only apply to any device that we select here. But your device is now in a trusted location, so we will allow it to connect. So I don't think we should block anything. So I think we can just leave it not configured.
Okay, well, we're getting out of scope here. Let's worry about that later someday.
Let's cut
Throw
it
out
out.
mobile devices later.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so the most important thing here in the access controls is to, of course, block any device that is trying to connect from an untrusted location. So we just select block here. Yeah, click select. And then, of course, we have to enable this policy again, create it.
There we go. We're on have our two.
Okay.
So let's talk through what happened here. This one here makes sense to me. So this is, if you're a Teams runs Android device, so you're one of our NTR Dash users and you're signing into an Android device from this TownView location, you're allowed to sign in. This seems like we've blocked everybody. So it's not Teams runs Android block, it blocks everybody from signing in. Is that correct? Is that what we just did?
That's correct. So here we block everybody signing in from an untrusted location. The way it's now configured. So eventually what you could do is, if you want to scope it down to only Teams Rooms devices, you could say that we apply this policy only to the Android platform, and then put a device filter on top of that to only include Teams Rooms devices, for example.
So if we do want to cut this down to, so right now, so let's fine tune this a bit. This seems like a bit much. So I want to have it so only my Teams Rooms group cannot sign in from those locations.
Yes.
So so now I pick a user group, or?
Yeah, so here you select your Teams Rooms devices group. So now it's scoped down to these accounts only.
Okay, so now only my Teams Rooms accounts are unable to sign in outside of TownView, this location.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah. But basically, let's assume that somebody uses a Teams Room account to access a phone or a tablet. He will not be blocked by this policy. You see.
So if I try to take this account that I'm running on this device here, if I were to take my device to your house and plug it in, I would not be able to sign in. At this point.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. All right, you go away. All right.
So so I think this is fine.
And just real quick, because I'm driving this point home, just want to make sure I understand this. We didn't pick an operating system, but there was a device platform. So this also means Teams Rooms Windows doesn't sign in, not just Teams Rooms Android, because we didn't block. We didn't say only Android or whatever.
Exactly. So if you want to tie this down to only Android, we can select Android here. So that means when a Teams Room device running on Android is trying to connect from an untrusted location, it will be blocked. So the way it's configured now,
I like this as it is, because this also covers my Teams Rooms Windows, and if we ever do Teams Rooms Windows Phone, that'll be blocked too. So done.
Okay. now we have this done. There is one last thing that we can talk about is also we have to determine whether they are corporate owned or not. So we want our team room devices to be considered as corporate owned devices. For that, we have to populate the device identifiers in Intune.
So what does that mean? Corporate owned? I guess there's also non-corporate
Yeah.
owned devices.
Yes.
So
So
what
you
are we
have
talking about
personal.
here?
Yeah, so you have personally owned devices and corporate owned devices. So they have a different way of managing the devices. So in this case, the Teams Room devices should be considered as corporate owned. So to do that, we have to do actually two things. First, we should block personally owned device administrator devices because those devices, we want them to be managed with Android Enterprise. And
Okay.
another thing that we want to do
So
is
wait,
we
real
want,
quick, I'm gonna interrupt. So
yeah,
on personal devices, we want them to use Android Enterprise, not this old device administrator that Google's getting
exactly,
rid of.
exactly.
Okay. All right.
So to do that, we have to go back to the devices view and then to the enrollment or enroll devices view.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we go to enrollment restrictions.
Enrollment
So yeah,
restrictions.
so the
Oh, there it
fourth
is.
list.
Okay.
Yeah, and so here you see two types of restrictions. You have device type restrictions and device limit restrictions. Device limit restrictions, you can see that a device limit for a user is 5. As I said, if you're planning to use the same account on more than 5 devices, you will have to enable Device Enrollment Manager account for that account, and then you
So
can
one
roll up
time,
to 1,000.
yeah. So there are two times I can imagine this you wanting to change this. You may not want to do it for all users, but hot desking on Teams phones. That means you could sign in as a guest on other people's phones. So if you do that a lot and you sign in onto many phones, that would break the fifth. So if you try to sign in as a guest on a sixth different phone, this wouldn't work. The other one is with Teams panels. So you use the same account on Teams rooms as you do on Teams panels. So now if you have a room and a panel, that's two places. But if you have multiple devices, multiple panels, console on Teams Rooms Android, so we've got these consoles. You sign in on this as well for Teams Rooms Android. Um, you could get past 5 on Teams Rooms Android, maybe
Yeah,
even on Teams Windows. So we
yeah,
may want to create a different policy for Teams Rooms Android, but I don't care right now. I just care
okay,
about our current situation.
yeah,
So we'll leave this all
okay. That's
default
yeah.
and
So we don't need it for now. So,
right.
but for the device type restrictions, so if you click on the all users link there in the middle,
Okay.
and then to properties, here you can see that we can set block or allow different types of management. So if you click the edit link there, you can see that we can actually block personally owned device administrator devices.
Or Android
Okay.
device administrator, right? So we're going to block
Yeah.
it, and but enterprise, sorry, enterprise, Android enterprise does apply to personally owned. So
Yes.
disabling this does not mean we're lowering our security or getting rid of management. It just means you
No.
use the newer management. Not you're not allowed to use the older management.
Exactly. Yeah. We don't
Okay.
want Android device administrator anymore on corporate or personally owned phones, for
Okay.
example, or tablets. Yeah. Okay. So now that we have this in place, we are going to save that.
Okay.
So that's the
Saved.
first thing that we want
Looks
to
like,
do.
by the way, it looks like I already changed this one day. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
it happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the next thing is that we want to do is we want to automatically change the device ownership of the Teams Room devices to company owned. And to be able
Okay.
to do that, we have to define the device identifiers in Intune so it gets automatically recognized as a company owned device.
All right.
So for that, we go back to devices and then enroll devices. And there you have the corporate device identifiers view.
Okay.
So here you can add them individually, or you can add them in the CSV file. So you could populate
Bet
the
you
CSV
CSV
file.
file is the way to go. You could export this out
Yeah.
of your like device like your whatever your inventory control system,
Yeah.
or as you buy them, have your vendor provide those to you. I don't have an inventory control system or a vendor, so I'm gonna have to do these manually. I guess by serial number.
Yes.
Because I'm not doing an IMEI.
You have two
That sounds like mobile
possibilities.
phones.
Yeah. So the IMEI number or serial numbers.
All right, so I'm here still. So serial number here out of Teams Admin Center. Copy. I mean, I can always read it off the device too. And this is my, was this the Poly Studio X30? Yeah, so let's say Poly Studio X31, because I have multiple ones. All right, and then let's look at the other one I have. And OEM serial number. Copy. And this is another thing I'm going to have to remember when I get my Logitech, my Logi now, Rally Bar here in next week.
Okay.
I'll have to add this in here. And number one.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea like of better names? Because I don't know. These devices could move around, so I don't want to put it as a name, but I don't know.
It depends. So you could also use the location of the device in the name. If you know the room where the device sits, the room number, for example, or something like that.
Oops, I just clicked something. Whatever. I think I just whatever I clicked. I didn't mean to do that, but
You
okay.
can put whatever you like.
They're in there.
So now, if in case that you don't have the device identifiers at hand, so one option is to enroll the device first, and then it will appear in your devices list, and then you can actually modify the properties of that device and change the device ownership to company owned.
Okay,
That's
so I
another
think
way.
long term now. Does Intune have like an API or graph? So could I theoretically write like a Power App to take a list and shove it in here like on a nightly basis or something to automate this?
Yes, yes, you can, of course. So you can use PowerShell and use the Graph API to make your own script and then populate these identifiers into Intune.
So yeah, because if we're buying 50 every month or two, it's tedious to type all that in. Might be worth a lot of automation. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So now that we have this done, I think we configured everything that we needed for your conditional access policy. So actually, we could start testing our first device.
So you think we're ready?
I think we're ready.
Okay. Well, let's bring up our device here.
Yeah.
And go and sign out of this guy. Okay. And I'm going to get ready because it's going to ask me to sign in. So let me do a in private window. And I just know this because we're now in my world. So Microsoft.com device login. Let's get that ready. And let's see what this guy's doing. Okay, there's my code. So here's that device login page. I'll put in my code, my account, which I actually also have in a notepad, just so I don't typo it. And then my password. Yep, I'm trying to sign into an authentication broker, which is not the friendliest name in the world. But anyway, okay, so now I'm signed in. So the Android device picked up that I'm signed.
So if you've seen, it goes pretty fast. So what first happens is the device gets registered
Sign was
in Azure
successful. You
AD.
don't have permission to access this resource. Sweet. It's exciting. It worked.
Okay, cool. That means that our conditional access policy is working, but not in the way that we wanted it.
Yeah, Microsoft Intune Company Portal. It looks like.
Yeah, so we have to see for the conditional access policy if we have the IP range right.
That's possible. So let's look at the IP range.
Yeah,
Where's
because that's
that?
the only one which is blocking.
So where do we do that? Under devices, compliance?
Devices, then conditional access.
Conditional access.
Yes. And then let's look at our named location. Trusted location.
So it says on the app it was 75.115.121.155. 75.115.121.155.
Okay.
/32. And I got that off, and I can see it right here. 75.115.121.155.
It's registered. Okay, let's go back to our block policy.
Conditional access, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll get to that. Oh, I am there. Policies.
Yeah, you're there. Let's go to policies, and then let's look at the
Block policy.
Yeah, so we set for specific users, so that's our NTR users, team room accounts, okay, and
Or
then
any
cloud
app.
apps, any app, and then we don't have the locations configured. So
Oh, so we
here,
have to say
yeah, so
any
this is what
location.
we forgot. So we have to say any location and exclude your trusted location.
Exclude.
All trusted locations, or maybe let's take just your trusted location.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure to save it. So that's the reason. Basically, we blocked everything.
So it doesn't go for like the first one in the list. So why did it pick this one instead of this one? Because this one applies. Why do you know why it picked? How does it pick which policy?
The most restrictive will always win. So if you have different conditional access policies, the most restrictive will always win.
And this is most restrictive because it blocked all logins from all locations?
Yes.
Okay. Whereas now we're blocking all locations except TownView.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we made that change to the conditional access policy to block everything except for our trusted location. So let's sign in again and see what we get. So 189Y2927X. Let me put that into my website, Microsoft.com/device login. Here's my code. And I don't trust that cached entry in there. I don't know why. I do it my own self. And yes, so that's doing that. Let's look at what is happening on our Teams rooms. All right, let's try it again.
Yeah. So this is the device registration part in Azure AD.
So it's adding the device to Azure AD, assuming I got my username and password right.
Correct. And now it's enrolling in Intune.
And that's the company portal is the name of our Intune app.
Yes.
All right, this is about where we failed last time. So let's see if we make it through this time. Make sure we got to the right conditional access this time. Seems like we got a little further. Last time it kind of knocked us down pretty quickly. So I'm feeling pretty confident this time. Looks like it's loading the Teams app, and there we go.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Now I can do meetings. I can do a meet now, and I can do my thing. So it looks like this is working. How do we? We know it failed. Now we know it succeeded. Where do I look to see some of what? Where do I look to see?
So first thing that you want to look at is at the devices view to see if the device is enrolled in Intune. So you go to the all devices view.
No results.
And there you hit the refresh.
Oh, I have to hit the refresh?
Yeah.
I just jumped on to Android devices. Is this the same thing with our Teams rooms?
Yeah,
the user group, we just have to wait a minute?
Exactly, yeah. It will take a couple of minutes to populate here.
All right.
But it will definitely come. Another way to check is to go to the Azure portal, to the devices view, and there you can verify whether the device was registered in Azure AD.
All right, so I'll go to portal.azure.com.
Yeah.
And
Azure,
sign in.
And go to Azure Active Directory from here.
And then there's a devices. This is the Yalink A20, which oh, here it is, NPR TVW Huddle 1. That's who it is. Oh, there's our one that failed at
okay.
Oh, this is yesterday. This is me playing around, so I can delete that one.
Yeah, so you can
tell it's yesterday. That's me not getting it, and that's why I decided to reach out to you to help me out. This looks like 10:38. Yeah, this is 2 minutes ago.
Yeah. So what's happening now in the background is that the device is syncing its configuration and policies with Intune, and you should see it popping up in the devices list in Intune any minute.
Not quite there yet, but that's okay.
Yeah.
All right, but I do see it says Microsoft Intune is my device manager, my mobile device manager, or whatever MDM stands
Yeah.
for, and it is compliant.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Mario.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
All right, thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.